Eubanks. And Rudy Gobert is going to shoot 2.
And, it's interesting. The shot clock reset.
You're hot.
Frank Vogel just limited right now.
Well, it's unfortunate that not just the Suns and Timberwolves series, but the referees seem to be the storyline in these playoffs. And Tom Chambers joins us now on the Right to the Guest line here on Fox Sports 910. Tom, is it being too much? Is too much being made of the refs, or would you say there has been some reasons to kind of get on these guys a little bit here?
Well, I thought that Philadelphia game, New York game, there was some difficult calls in a close game, and it can make a difference. The Lakers game, they lost a 20-point lead, and then they wanted to.
You guys have background noise, so I'm doubling you down when he's talking.
I'm not going with that, but there are some calls. But I think it's been, nothing crazy. It's kind of gone both ways with all the teams involved. So, I mean, that's what it is. I mean, there's a lot of things you can address, and that addressing the referees isn't something that the Suns can do anything about. So they've just got to fix their own issues.
From that standpoint, Tom, when you look at this team overall, and I think we've asked you a few times, what is it they're doing when they're hitting on all cylinders, and what is it that they're not doing at all, being down 0-2, that they're going to have to get back on track for this game tomorrow night?
Well, they are, and this team, we've seen them against Minnesota. They scored more points against Minnesota than Minnesota's ever given up in a quarter and in a game. So they know that what they're capable of doing. The problem here is they've started out slow. They've allowed Minnesota to get their confidence, on the defensive end as well as on the offensive end, and then the guys, with Minnesota. I mean, McDaniels. I mean, he's been their best player, and McCarthy, Alexander Walker's come in and done a nice job. I mean, they did a great job containing Ant and Karl Anthony Towns, and then these other guys have stepped up and had big games for them. But the Suns just have to go out. They have to, get a little bounce back in their step. They have to start knocking down shots. I still think it's the best scoring team in basketball. They can do that. I know they can do that. I believe they still believe in themselves. I still believe in them. It's just disappointing when you see how good they finished up the regular season, and then in the playoffs it just hasn't looked the same. So they've got to pick it up.
All right, my follow-up to that is, and I agree with what you just said, and I think they still have a shot in this series, obviously. But watching the game the other night, when they have to play half court, it seems there's just a lot of standing around and not that great of ball movement. Is there something, Tom, that you can say that would equate to getting better ball movement when they are forced to play in a half-court offense?
Well, I like motion on offense. When you're forced to be in the half court, this Suns team is much better when they're playing good defense and not taking the ball out of the net, and they go down at a fast pace, and they're tough to guard. When Minnesota is allowed to go back, walk back, set up their defense, they're as good as there is in the NBA, as good as there is in basketball. And during that stretch in the third quarter, the Suns turned it over like 5 times in a row. So not only did they give up, points to Minnesota, they didn't get a chance to get their own points. And that's just absolutely devastating. I just think that they felt devastated at that point in the game when they're like, oh, man, I cannot believe we're doing this right now. But this Suns team can move the ball even in half court. I believe they've got to be more aggressive. It seems to me, just like what you were mentioning there, they were just passing the ball around the perimeter. And that's not going to make it happen. Somebody needs to come up the middle and give them an outlet so somebody can go back door, or one of the guys needs to penetrate. Yeah. When they go to help, when Rudy goes to help, then you can give it to Murphy, you can give it to Eubanks, and you can finish strong. So you just got to attack that defense. Even though they're really good, you've got to attack them. I would not be afraid to go right at Rudy Gobert at all. And that being said, I would also really want to look at making Rudy Gobert come out of the paint and guard somebody, because he doesn't do that. He's not comfortable with that. They don't like to do it, and so maybe you put KD at center for stretches and see what happens with that.
Tom, do they force the issue with Booker tonight? Tomorrow night? Do they say, hey, look, Book, tag, you're it, just to kind of reestablish himself, bring him some confidence, and get him off? I want to get him off the schneid, but go be that guy. Go be that one dude that takes control and gets his team back into it. Or am I looking at all three need to do that?
Well, I believe all three of them need to be aggressive. But Book's that one guy that can carry the team. When he gets it going, everybody feeds off of him. And like I said, McDaniels has been terrific on the defensive end, even terrific on the offensive end. He's really stymied Devin. He really has. And Devin has been able to have success against them and him before. So he's got to be aggressive. It just can't be, okay, here's your turn to go one-on-one. Here's your turn to go one-on-one. You've got to bring the ball up at full speed before they get back and they get set up. Their defense on the perimeter has been better than their defense on the interior. They're able to go out and overplay. They're able to go out and pressure you. They're able to go out and get up on the three-point shot because they know if they get beat, they've got Rudy back there in the paint. So you've got to go at them, go by that first layer of defense. And when Rudy comes up to help, there's going to be a lot of people over.
Tom Chambers is our guest on the Right Toyota guest line. All right, Tom, do you have any update at all on Grayson Allen? The last thing I saw was that he did some light work. Could he be available tomorrow night, or what's your opinion?
Well, I just listened to his post-practice interview, and he said questionable. I mean, he was smiling. He said he's done it before. He wears those heavy braces. So, he tweaked it. Obviously, it hurt like crazy because he was going pretty much full speed. But he feels like there's a chance. So he's doing some pool work and some other work to try and get himself so he can play. So they'll make that decision tomorrow. He's tough. He's going to want to play, and hopefully he'll be able to.
Tom, the turnovers, I think it's just going to be the way it is the rest of the year. I think we're all resolved with that, unfortunately. But, I mean, the transition, they outscored the Suns, was it 31-2 on the turnovers? But how about getting back? Okay, you turn it over, getting your butt back, and try to make a wrong or right from that standpoint. I guess that was the frustrating part with that, was just the 31-2, not getting back to try to dissuade this shot off the turnover.
Well, they were ball turnovers for the most part. They were lazy turnovers, and it just snowballed. It really did. And certainly we've seen that turnover issue before. We've seen the fourth quarter woes before. I don't know if they're putting their heads down when they turn it over and not getting back. But when you turn it over around the perimeter for the most part, it's a fast break, and that's what they're doing. That's some great athletes. When you're talking about Ant and Alexander Walker and McDaniels, they can get out and fly. And that's what they're doing. They're causing turnovers and they're flying down the court. So they're going to be tough to stop if the Suns are turning the ball over like that, because it's all downhill and high percentage shots. And that, if there's one thing you saw in the game that really cost the Suns team that game, was that right there. Getting back, I didn't even notice they didn't get back on the transition. It was just a fast break turnover. It was a live ball turnover, and those are tough to overcome.
Is Bradley Beal extending himself so much defensively that it's bothering his offense? Because he is playing Anthony Edwards just sensationally defensively.
Well, he's getting after him. He's doing a really nice job. I think they're doing it like maybe they switch everything the Suns do. I mean, I saw, Bradley Beal on Gobert and Carl Anthony.
Yeah.
So I think they're rotating. They're doing a pretty good job there. The defense of the Suns has not been a problem. It's been the offense. They haven't scored enough points. And the reason they haven't scored enough points is because they're turning over 20 times. So I think everything here can be rectified and we can be positive. I'm much more positive today about this than I was after the game. After the game, I was just like everybody else. I was completely frustrated and distraught about what was going on. And it didn't look like, they even wanted to be out there at times because they were frustrated, because they were upset with themselves and the turnovers and things like that. But they were in the game. There was only one stretch in the third quarter and, 5 possessions almost in a row that they lost that basketball game. So there's some good things to take out of the game, but they can't have that bad stretch if they want to beat this Minnesota team, because they are a very good team.
We'll be watching, Tom. Thanks for the time, buddy, as always.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Tom Chambers joining us here. Again, was nice enough to hang out with us for our Final Four event that we had at Talking Stick Resort. Hopefully we'll be able to do that again, as you'll start hearing more with Tom Chambers and Casino Arizona and Talking Stick. So it's kind of cool. Interesting. Hey, Booker's got to – let's go, Book. I mean, you can kind of hear it in his voice, too. He's got to be the aggressive one. He's got to be the alpha. Tom's brought to you by All City Towing. We're in Tempe. That's where they're located, just off 202 in Tempe. And if you're looking for a new career that pays great with incredible benefits, then All City Towing is where you need to go. Go to allcitytowing.com and search careers. That's allcitytowing.com. Well, we need a contestant. One of the beautiful Twin Peaks girls from our Tempe location here. We'll take the fifth caller at 602.